Happy Sunday, YouTube. Before I get into my topic today, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my daughter Janelle and my son Gabriel for this cool hat they gave me for Father's Day. And my daughter Janelle, learned how to read at a pretty young age, and she figured out how to get on YouTube. And what's funny is that she gets on there and she listens into my videos, and then later on she's dropping information from the topics that I talk about, TCPA, DNC. And it's just funny because it just goes to show, how advanced kids are these days, and more importantly, how quick they learn. So Janelle, thank you very much, baby, for my hat. I love it. But guys, I wanted to talk to you guys today about, raw data. And a lot of centers that generate, final expense transfers, they work raw data. Now, what is raw data? That's basically a phone number of a person within the ages of 50 to 75 years of age, within a certain income bracket. And that information exists. There's so much data out there that it exists. So the call centers buy that. And from that raw data, they cold call to promote final expense and an array of other products that call centers do. But the bottom line, what doesn't change, is that you're using raw data. Now, there's nothing wrong about that. It's totally legitimate, especially if you have a good strategy to call on that, like we do. But some of these centers claim that 100% of their leads and their transfer setup is based on opt-in or leads. Jornaya. All that means is that someone requested the information, whether it was a website, Facebook, someone called into a TV commercial, called into a radio ad, regardless of where the source comes from, they ask for the information, the ID, Jornaya, the opt-in, the IP. That's all it states. That's what gives us permission to call them back without being worried if they're on the DNC list. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that a lot of these centers are working raw data, but their biggest liability is the fact that they don't have real DNC tools that are up to date. For example, these litigator lists, look, we use them too. It's good to see if a phone number or a lead is associated with some known litigator, because you want to avoid them as possible. I get it. But that has nothing to do with the law of DNC, period. So you can't put all of your faith in those litigator lists, because all you're looking for is litigators. And that has nothing to do with a DNC complaint. And the judge could care less if you present to the judge that used the litigator list. It's stupid. DNC is what matters when you're dialing on raw data. And I'm making this video, guys, because I get a lot of you guys that see my posts on LinkedIn. You guys call me, send me messages on Skype, and, the same thing. You're proud to say that you're using these litigator lists, but you're evading the number one law, which is DNC. So calling on raw data is a great opportunity, and I'll tell you, that's one of our advantages. For many years, as I looked at my lead system and looked at ways to reduce our lead system for myself and my agency, and we're talking about millions of dollars of leads over 18 years that we invested collectively in leads. We're always looking to reduce costs. And when I figured out this transfer setup, I saw the beauty in dialing on raw numbers. And let me tell you why. I realized that a lot of agents buy a set of leads. They don't know how to sell. And one of the big ones, they don't know how to work. They don't show up every day. They're not accountable to themselves. So they buy these leads and they sit on them. And then combined with a lack of training, they don't close them. It's like leaving food on the table. That's the way I see it. So what I do and my company does is we buy all those old leads that are over 90 days old, 30 days old. But let's just say they're over 90 days old, where there's no more TCPA protection, meaning I can no longer legally tell that customer that we're calling them back because they wanted final expense. If it's over 90 days, I can't do that. But we buy that lead as a raw file. Think about that. We buy it as a raw file. We don't buy it or promote it as a opted in lead or Jornaya or TCPA. No, it's raw. But our strategy is that we know that that lead within the last 120 days showed an interest in final expense. We know that because the lead was generated at one time. But then what we do is we take all those numbers of those people, and we're talking millions of records across the board, from direct mail, old TV leads, internet leads, you name it. We scrub those against the DNC. A big number of those people, believe it or not, are on the register for do not call. Big number. But we work those leads as a raw file. And we use a strategy that's very effective. And it gets them engaged, because we know that the behavior of this person was to ask about final expense. Period. We know that. But again, legally, if it's over 90 days, we cannot call without checking the DNC. We're doing that. Many of my centers are doing that. But a lot of you guys out there are not doing that. You're checking your databases, these lead lists, against these litigator databases that are not accurate. I'm telling you, I could prove it to you. And for those of you guys that follow me on LinkedIn, you guys will see some of the images I've posted of some of these popular litigator lists, like BLA, TCPA litigator lists. Because some of these litigator lists also offer a DNC scrub. But here's the catch. They are not up to date, accurate. And all you need the violation for a DNC is 43,000. And if you make a DNC violation, the litigator is automatically going to tag on a TCPA violation. That's going to be another 1,500 per violation. It's not worth it. So if you're buying leads from any center that's doing transfers, please be cautious when they tell you that all of their volume is 100% opt-in, because it's very, very expensive to do that. Think about it. Let me give you a quick example of that. Let's say you make a Facebook campaign. So first you got to invest in the Facebook campaign, or you got a couple landing pages, and you got to invest in Google Ads to push the landing pages in order to create traffic to those pages. Now, once you get all of those leads, then you're going to send it to a center, whether onshore or offshore, and they're going to start dialing on all those leads. I promise you right off the top, a major percentage of those people are not going to pick up the phone. So you got to nurture that database continuously in order to make sense. Most of these call centers overseas cannot afford to pay $10, $15, $20, $30 for a TV lead, Facebook lead, not to mention an internet lead. So how can they make the numbers work for you or me? It's very, very difficult. That's why raw is the best way to go, in my opinion, if you're looking for volume and you're looking to reduce your cost. You know, the companies that do 100% opt-in data where they have landing pages are not charging $30, $35 for an opt-in lead. I promise you that. In fact, I got a friend of mine, he got 16,000 landing pages, so his phones are on fire. And guess what? He's charging over $50 per call. So I'm sharing this with you guys mainly for you if you're buying leads, so you can be aware of this, because you can easily get yourself in trouble with a litigator if your compliance is not in order. And if you're a call center, you can get your customer in trouble if you're not in order and you're saying that you're calling on Jornaya data, and the Jornaya data is older than 90 days, and now you're just checking with these BS litigator lists. Come on. I got a tool that's exclusive to us. There's a cost associated with it per dip. I believe it's 0.0004 per dip. And the more records you dip daily, the cheaper it gets. And this is real-time, accurate. It's a publicly traded company. And so far, I've been able to send out over 100 demos with most of the folk that have seen it have signed up. Whether you have an agency or you're running a center, you definitely want to check this out. So I hope this helped. You know, those guys that are unsure about how this works, you know, raw data is what a lot of these centers are using, and the liability comes down to DNC. And if their DNC scrubbing mechanism is 100% accurate, then you're good to go. But if there's a big question mark, give me a call and I'll help you figure it out. Peace.